Okay, good morning, Zahava.
Morning.
It's like I had a quiet few minutes with you before the shir starts.
Yeah, it's so nice. Baruch Hashem.
Even
How
though
are
it's
you?
even though it's being recorded, but whatever. We
Okay.
won't say it. We won't reveal too many state secrets.
Right. Well, I wanted to tell you actually that I made a mistake. I had told you that my daughter and my grandson, the mother and son's birthdays are the same as the Maor Einayim's yard site, right? I told you that.
Yeah.
But I made a mistake. It's the Bas Ayim's yard site.
Oh, that's today's your site.
Right.
Today's their birthday?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to redo their numbers or their colors?
No. No, I just made a mistake with the Maor Einayim and the
With
Bas
the name. So I'll tell you that I don't know if I was clear on that message, that when you look in the Sefer HaYetzirah and then you look in this other Sefer called, I forgot what he's, by Rabbi Storch. So the Sefer HaYetzirah brings down a whole bunch of different configurations. The Vilna Gaon has a certain mahalach and the Medrash has a different mahalach. So it's really hard to figure out. There's not one opinion about what every month is parallel to what the Shevet is. There is one opinion that talks about each month as in terms of the elements. That's understood. But in terms of, let's say, what month parallels which Shevet, there are 4 different possibilities. So the one that I chose was the one according to, I think the Vilna Gaon chooses that in the Sefer HaYetzirah. And that goes according to how we talk about the Shvatim in terms of how they brought the offerings to the Mishkan, when they brought the offerings to the Mishkan, and also how they stood around the Mishkan, starting from Yehuda. So, but there's different configurations of how to parallel the month and the different Shevet. So what I understand from that is that the idea of paralleling a month and a Shevet isn't necessary right now for us because we don't have we can't figure out exactly which Shevet and which month because there are 4 possibilities. So either it's very, very Kabbalistic, and that's why we have all these different opinions, or we don't really need it right now. But definitely one of the Shittot is the one that I told you. And that's the Shita that I personally feel very, very related to, because that's the Shita that we read in the Chumash. We're going to read at Hanukkah time, right? Every single day of Hanukkah, we have a different one of the Karbanos that's the Kriya for Kriya Torah every day of Hanukkah. And then we reread it again by the Nesiim, by the actual Parsha. And I think it's, what Parsha is that? Is it Naso? Maybe. It's the longest Parsha. Which is the longest Parsha? Or Akev? Anyway, no, not Akev. Whatever. I don't remember.
It's very interesting though that I hear you, and I learn from everything that you say to me. But it's interesting that you say that we don't need it, because like I find that even the Shevet that is connected to the month that we're born, for me, for my children, even my daughter now, whose birthday it is, and her son, and even the stone, the way that we spoke about the stone, I forget the exact name, but she's Binyamin, and the stone, the name is
Yashpeh. The stone is a Yashpeh, the Binyamin stone.
Right. So she's the one going through this difficult divorce, and we spoke about how Binyamin, and the Yashpeh didn't talk, didn't tell Yaakov, and there was a lot about him not talking, and she, to her maturity and credit, and me and my husband for being so careful about our silence, about not talking about this situation, about the other side. And it was like, so, you know what I'm saying? And that's just one example. And, certain things that I've done, it's just, everything is like, so I feel like
it works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
totally
Mom.
works. Okay, so then maybe you're proof that this is the shita that works.
Yeah.
All four of the shitos. So in the sefer that Rabbi Yissorch writes, he tries to explain how each different shita of the shvatim is applying a different method or a different message. One is about the personality, one is about the leadership qualities, one is about the spiritual, whatever. So it's interesting. That's why I felt that the personality was the one that we're looking for, because
Yeah.
that's what we're working on. Hi, Chanasara. It's good to see you. Okay, so today's about Ayin's yard site, and it's also their birth. They should be well, their birthday. So we have to learn something from the about Ayin. That's all you have to do on the yard site. So let me just talk about a yard site for 1 second. On a yard site of someone that you know, let's say someone that's in your family. So we do a lot of different things on yard sites. Everybody has a different way of celebrating. By the Sephardim, they make a meal. Some people fast. Everybody has certain Ashkenazim fast. The Sephardim eat. It's like a funny thing, a little bit typical of that, perhaps. But really what you want to do is an Ili Neshama. You want to do something to lift the soul of the person who passed away. Now, if it's a tzaddik who wrote Sfarim, so okay, we learn his Sfarim. But what if it's a grandmother, or someone that's in your family? So what do? So what I suggest is that you think about the primary good midah, the primary good character trait of that particular person, and imitate it on that day. Let's say that person's a big Baal Chesed, so that day do extra Chesed. Let's say that person's a big Masmid and always learning Torah, so on that day learn a little bit more Torah. Let's say that person is a big Machnis Oreach, so that day do some kind of Hachnas Orechim. Mimic and imitate a mitzvah that the person who's having a yard site was good at, and that way his or her merit comes before the Kisei HaKavod. And they remember that person was, in your eyes at least, virtuous. Our eyes are different than Hashem's eyes. We don't know anything. But what we do know is what we know. In other words, if that person to you was a big Balas Chesed, whatever her or his motivations are is not our business. We're just going to imitate the behavior on the yard site, and that's a very big merit for the person who passed away. So, and in addition to giving charity and, saying some tehillim, whatever, but try to find the midah. And by the way, whenever you want any type of merit for anybody, that's a good, even a person who's alive, that's a very good, it's a very good exercise. You say, the person that I'm trying to give merit to is very inspiring to me in the fact that he or she is a very good at whatever, fill in the blank. And therefore, Hashem, I would like to actually imitate that behavior. And I would like to give the merits or share the merit with that particular person who's perhaps still alive. So that's a very strong zuchus in this world, because we all are nosim b'ahava reshus elazeh, right? That's what we daven every single day in Shacharis, right? That we talk about the angels, and we'll see in a second that we can learn from angels. The angels are giving each other permission to praise Hashem. The Pirkei Avos says that there's 4 levels of giving charity. One level is, I want to give charity and I don't want you to give charity. That means I want the mitzvah all for myself. And that the Mishnah says that such a person has Rahmanas on himself or herself, but doesn't have Rahmanas on the poor person, because the poor person wants everybody to give charity. And if you just want to be the one to give the charity, then you're trying to upgrade your own points, heavenly points, but you're not really charitable, because charitable means I want everybody to give charity. I want everybody to help. And so v'nosim b'ahava reshus elazeh, when we give permission each to each other to serve Hashem, to praise Hashem, to do the mitzvahs, when we work together, team, then that's angelic. That's a high level. So that's what we could do when we want to give merit to anybody in this world or in the next world. Okay, so first let's learn the Bat Ayin to make sure we do it. The Bat Ayin who lived in Sfas and who correctly predicted and warned everybody about the earthquake that was about to happen. He saved everybody, told everybody to come to his shul, and he saved everyone. And he's buried in Sfat. And excuse me. And Rav Milo Friederman, who's a very beloved person here in Eretz Yisrael. Rav Milo Friederman went up to Tzfat for Shabbos. Somebody that I know went, about Americans who went just to experience that. They said they couldn't believe what was going on in Tzfat. You know, Americans are used to, like, I don't know, a kumsitz of an hour, you know, or a shear of an hour. You know, if you look at the American shiurim, you see they're pink on the dot. You know, 1 hour. But Rav Milo Friederman has he's above time. So he was bringing for 4 hours straight. And these are not Chabadnikim who are used to that either. So this American was saying, he was like, whoa, he was in a different world. Anyway, today's the yahrzeit. And last night there was also a big thing. I don't know, maybe he's related. Maybe Rav Friederman is related to the Bat Ayin, maybe. Because he's directly from the Rebbe Elimelech, I think. I don't know. Anyway, here's what the Bat Ayin tells us about the confrontation that Yaakov Avinu had with the Sar Shel Esav. We know that this week's Parsha, Vayishlach, so we have in the beginning that Yaakov Avinu was, you know, he sends a message to, he finally escapes Lavan, and he's coming back to Eretz Yisrael, and he's recognizes that Esav's going to meet him. And so he sends a message. He's proactive. He's on the offense. And he sends a message to Esav saying, you know, I'm coming. And Esav sends back a message, I'm also coming with 400 men. That's what the angel comes back and says. So Yaakov Avinu does what we know. He does a gift, and he does prayer, and he does getting ready for war, all the hishtadlus he does. And we're told that the main hishtadlus was prayer, and the gift and the war, preparing for war, was just the physical ramifications of what a person has to do. We have to pray first, and then do some hishtadlus, then pray again. Kaveh el Hashem. Right? We have to first pray, then do something, then pray again. So,
but 1 second, but Rochel, but interesting though, in the psukim, he didn't pray first.
So okay, right? We know that we know that he knew that any hishtadlus that he makes is absolutely worthless unless he prays. But he also knew that Hashem gave him a promise. What he was afraid of was that he wasn't worthy. Yaakov Avinu was incredibly humble, like all of the avos were. So he was afraid that maybe he lost the promise, maybe he lost the merit.
But it couldn't it be also like, you know, I had said yesterday that that sometimes Hashem, like tefillah is for sure the main hishtadlus and the first hishtadlus, and you know, but sometimes like Hashem puts us, like I'm going through a certain challenge right now, right? And I kept on saying, you know, Hashem is going to put me where he needs me to be. Hashem is going to show me what he wants me to do, etc. And a certain Rav said to me, who I very much respect, Hashem, he said to me, you know, maybe Hashem like put you in this situation because he wants to see what you're going to do with it. Like he wants to see what you're going to make of it. You know, yes, of course, with tefillah and etc. But sometimes Hashem puts us in an nisayun to see like how we're going to act, like what you know what I'm saying. And sometimes
right. So that's the age-old question of who has to make the first step. We say to Hashem, Hashiveinu Hashem, and Hashem says to us, Shuva Elai v'Shuva Elechem. Right? Who's leading in this dance? So sometimes we have to start. Sometimes Hashem has to start. That's all. Sometimes here we're going to see in a second. The Rebbe is actually answering your question. So let's wait a second. This is the last piece in the Parshas Vayishlach, and the Bat Ayin. So he tells us like this. He says the Torah is telling. You have it? I didn't make a picture of it for you. I could have. I can't do it on the computer though. Want me to send you a picture on a WhatsApp? No. Okay, forget it. So the Bat Ayin is saying every story in the Torah, we have to learn something from, not just the history, but to learn how we're supposed to behave. So what does Yaakov Avinu have with this Sar Shel Esav, right? Before he meets Esav, he meets his angel. That's very scary. Nobody, if any of us would see an angel, we would probably die out of fright. Angels are something that we can't perceive of. They're something that we can't perceive of. But Yaakov Avinu indeed saw the angel. Not just he saw him, but he fought with him. And not just that he fought with him, but he won. How crazy is that? So the Bat Ayin saying to us, it's funny because I say Bat Ayin because the name of the little cute little village is called Bat Ayin, but really because they Bas Ayin, either way how you pronounce it. I'm thinking to myself, why does it sound so strange when I'm learning and I say Bat Ayin? Because the Bat Ayin is the name of the village and the seminary, but Bas Ayin is the name of the sefer. Okay, sorry. Okay, so he says it's exactly the Yetzer Hara. This battle that Yaakov Avinu had with the angel is paralleling our battle with the Yetzer Hara. And listen to what the Yetzer Hara to do. First, he says, "Vayavek ish imo," right? This angel was fighting. Lots of different words to say how to fight. Like, for example, when Yaakov Avinu was in his mother's stomach, it says "Vayitrotzitzu." That was the word that was used to say they were fighting. And here, Vayavek, to confront. Okay, so what did he do? So the Rebbe says like this: Perush sheratzah lehachnis bo lechol hapachos avok gasus. The Bat Ayin he's talking about Avodas Hashem, and he says the only way to succeed in Avodas Hashem is to have healthy humility. Healthy humility. That means to remember how great Hashem is and that we are nothing compared to Hashem. That's called healthy humility. Healthy humility towards another person, like Moshe Rabbeinu had. Moshe Rabbeinu said, if the other person were born with my neshama is very great, said Moshe Rabbeinu. There's nothing to talk about. But if somebody else would have been born with that neshama, maybe he would have actually excelled more than me. So I can't judge because I have no idea. I just know that I was given this job and this neshama. Maybe I'm not fulfilling the totality of who I am. That was one thing that Moshe Rabbeinu said. Second thing Moshe Rabbeinu said in terms of his humility was, maybe I am fulfilling 99% of my neshama, and somebody else who's more pashut than me, who's more simple, is fulfilling 100% of their potential. So really, relatively speaking, that other person is much greater than me because he's fulfilling 100% and I'm fulfilling 99%. Moshe Rabbeinu was always his mindset wasn't like us anyway. So the Bas Ayin says you have to be humble. You have to be healthy humble. Healthy humble means not to have low self-esteem. We're going to see in a second what he means. So he saw the Yetzer Hara tried to give Yaakov Avinu gaiva, and he tried to make Yaakov Avinu feel gaiva by saying, or by the implication was, wow, an angel comes down from Shemayim, the highest angel, the highest representation of Esav is coming to confront you. That's a pretty high level. That would make a person very proud. If somebody comes, let's say you get a phone call from your child's ganenet, and the ganenet is the little kindergarten teacher, and the kindergarten teacher is saying, you have to teach Chani to share a little bit better, and okay. But then let's say you get a phone call from the head of the district, of the principal called the head of the district, and that head of the district is calling you, is saying, you have to work on your kid. You know that the higher level of person who's coming to confront you, the more serious the matter is. Also, it's a certain level of pride. Like maybe you are the president of the United States and your daughter or your granddaughter needs a little bit of a push. So for the president of the United States, the ganenet is not going to call him. The head of the school board is going to call him. So it's a certain level of kavod. So if this angel was trying to trip up Yaakov Avinu. Why? Because the next day, Yaakov Avinu is going to meet Esav. And the way it works is that first we have to confront the spiritual. And if we confront the spiritual and defeat or succeed in the spiritual, then the physical falls away. Like it says, like it's talking about Ishtadlus. It says, right, Reb Chaim Volozhiner gave that the skula that just the more you meditate on Ein Od Milvado, that there's nothing other than God, and this is from Hashem. This is Hashem. This is Hashem talking to you in this particular challenge or whatever. The more you meditate on that, the physical eventually just falls away, because the whole point of everything is to come close to Hashem. So if Hashem gives us a test and we go straight to the source, then we don't need the test anymore. So more Ein Od Milvado. Just keep thinking about that, and that's of course an infinite thought. So here the angel was trying to trip up Yaakov Avinu spiritually, so that the next day he would physically fall in front of Esav, and it didn't work. So first he tried to trick him with gaiva, by trying to make him feel amazing and trying to make him feel that he's special. That didn't work. Yaakov Avinu stayed in a very humble place. Listen, when Yaakov Avinu says, "Im Lavan Garti," V'Tarya Garti, right? Rashi says, "V'Taryag mitzvot shamarti." I kept all the Taryag mitzvot. Why is he telling that to Esav? What does Esav care? Could you imagine if you tell, if you tell an irreligious relative or friend, like, I was in a really, really challenging place and I kept all the mitzvahs. That irreligious person, or that person who doesn't value mitzvahs, why are you telling them that? If you say to them, I was in a really, really irreligious place and I made $1 million, that might impress them. But to say, I was in a very challenging place and I kept my holiness, why would that impress a person who's not valuing holiness? So what was Yaakov saying when he said that? He was saying, I am strong. That he said directly to Esav. I was able to withstand the worst immorality place. So I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of any challenges now. I did it once and I can do it again. So that was what?
I just say I read something beautiful that goes with this, that from last week's Parsha, that the word Vayetze is an acronym, the Megala Imuko says this, that the word Vayetze is an acronym for Vayar Yaakov Surah Aleph. You'll like this because of the letters, Surah Aleph. And that Aleph stands for Alufo Shel Olam, that Yaakov always saw Hashem in front of him, Eno Milvado.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that after Aleph, right, like Beis is 2 away from Hashem and Gimel is 3 away from Hashem. And Esav knew that. And that's why, and Saf is the most, is 400 away from Hashem. And he came with 400 men also to try to trick Yaakov, but Yaakov the whole time with the angel and Lavan Garti, like he always saw everything is from Hashem, and he just saw Hashem in front of him, and that's how he was able to fight the Sitahara and fight Esav and fight the 400.
That's beautiful, and maybe that's why when Yosef Atzadik had that challenge, he saw his father in front of him, because that's how it works. When a parent does a certain mitzvah, the kids get that same koach. So he also saw that kept him. Wow, beautiful. Okay, so now that the Hi Chanaleah, now that the Malach saw that he's not getting Esav and getting Yaakov and Gaiva. And by the way, being proud of yourself. See, that's why I said before, you have to have healthy humility. Rabbi Nachman says you have to at the same time remember how great you are and remember how nothing you are at the same exact time, because we're great. We're unbelievably amazing. The fact that we are learning Torah, women are learning Torah, on their spare time, just because we want to come close to God, because we want to touch His Torah. When you touch Hashem's Torah, you're touching Hashem. So the fact that we're doing that after thousands of years of exile, and we're all brought up in, we're not brought up in Yerushalmi families that have been in Mei Sharm for 10 generations. We've all seen that. We're talking on the internet right now. We've had, we all have secular, not secular, but we all have our roots, and we're strong in Yiddishkeit. Like, how could that be? And not just that, but we're trying to help others with their Yiddishkeit. Like, so on a certain level, we're proud. On a certain level, we're very, very humble. Like there's so much more that I should be doing, so much more that I should be doing. You see somebody else when you sometimes it's good to have kinas sofrim. Kinas sofrim means when you see your friend and you see that she has 5 minutes. You know, if I have 5 minutes, I sit down. My friend has 5 minutes. She bakes up another batch of cookies, puts them in the freezer for when somebody might come. Like people are very, very time conscious. So you have to have kinas sofrim. You have to have, I remember sitting by Reb Yaakov Shechter. That one occasion that I went was so profound. I have like so many stories about it. Between each person, I took a chevra of women to see him. This was in the olden days. I had protectia with one of his with his gabbai, and he was seeing people in those days. So I took a group from America. I was still living in America. I took a group from America. We went in. They didn't speak Hebrew. I had to translate. So between each woman that came out, and so I sat there, and one woman came in. She told her thing, whatever the whole thing was. I translated back and forth. Then she leaves, and then the next woman comes in. That took maybe 2 seconds because everybody was being careful to, be careful of the Rav's time. But between each of these women, he had his finger on the place in the Sefer Tehillim. And he said another pasuk. I watched him, and he said to me, "You know how many Sifrei Tehillim I finish just between people coming out, between people coming in." Anyway, why did I tell you that? I forgot why. Okay, so here he sees he didn't get him with pride. Oh, so we have to be proud that we are great. On the other hand, we have to be humbled that we're not living up to what we're supposed to be living up to. So now what does he want to do? Vaye'avek. Vaye'avek means avak. Remember we used to learn about something called avak lashon hara. Avak means it's not really bad. It's just sort of. Avak lashon hara means maybe halacha. It means the dust of improper speech. It's not necessarily absolutely the worst thing I could say, but it's not the nicest thing I could say. So it has like a shmek. It has like a smell of lashon hara. So here he wanted to get him into avak. He said, I can't get him into gaiva. I'm going to try to get him into avak gasus, a little bit of gaiva, says the Basayin. A little bit, because he wanted that he wanted Yaakov Avinu to think that he's really, really perfect, that his avoda is perfect. And so so that's what he tried to do. First, he tried to make him very proud. Couldn't do that because Yaakov Avinu went to humility. So he tried to inject in him a little bit of pride. What did Yaakov Avinu do? He sakel ba'avodas hamalachim. This is what the Unclus translates. Unclus translates that when it says that when Yaakov Avinu said, "I met kiraiti Elokim panim el panim v'tinatzal nafshi," that I saw God face to face. What is Unclus translated? He translates it as "Arei chaziti malacha d'Hashem." Apin de apin. I saw the angels. It doesn't say I saw Hashem. I saw Hashem's angels face to face. What does that mean? In other words, he stakel ba'avodatam. Yaakov Avinu meditated on the avoda of the angels. Now listen. What element is anger? Element of anger is fire. What element is an angel? Fire. So angels have a surah of fire. If we could see them, one of the surahs of angels is fire, and so the angel tried to wake up Yaakov's fire by just his proximity. Actually, could do that. So what Yaakov Avinu do? He said, "Okay, you're telling me about angels. I'm going to look at the avoda of the angels, and I'm going to see how great they are." And that way I'll realize, even though I'm maybe human and I'm doing a good job, but look at the angels. Look how much they serve Hashem. Look how much they praise Hashem. So he took that exact tool of the Yetzer Hara and he reversed it. So then what did the Yetzer Hara try to do? Vayar hayetzer hara ki lo yachol lo, ma'asa, vayiga bekaf yerecho, shenega b'chinas anavat ma'asa. What did the Yetzer Hara do? What did the angel do? This is a scary thing, because if you read a lot of Mussar books, so the Mussar books say that there's like a never-ending struggle from the time you're born till the time you die. There's not 1 second that you're not struggling with the Yetzer Hara. To me, that's a little bit depressing. But the Ramchal does say, and the Mesilas Yesharim, the Ramchal does say that it's good to take whatever it is that's challenging you, and use that exact challenge to overcome that challenge. Here we're going to see in a second what he means by that. So Yaakov Avinu said, "You want me to be gaiva? Okay, I'm going to be gaiva. I'm going to look at somebody who's even more than me. Instead of being gaiva that I'm so shalem, I'm going to look at you. You're much greater than me, Mr. Angel. I can't possibly win you. You're an angel. I'm a person. So I'm going to look at your power, and I'm going to see that me compared to you is nothing. Certainly me compared to Hashem is nothing. And even though the soul of a Jew, we're taught that the soul of a Jew was created before the angels and therefore is on a higher level, it's so hard to imagine that, because if we would see an angel, we would faint. But our pneumius, our essence, is higher than the angels. So he said, I'm going to look at you. I'm going to see that. I'm not. Okay. Then what did the angel do? Then the angel said, okay, I'm going to tackle your humility. Now, the humility is an earth element, right? Gasus Ruach, pride, is a fire element. And because it's the highest of all the elements. What's the lowest of all the elements? Is the earth element. And the earth element lets us step on it, right? We're all sitting on chairs. A chair, anything physical, is the earth element. So the earth lets us step all over us. Earth is humility. The nature of earth is humility. So the angel said, I'm gonna hit your humility. And he hit him in the yerech. The yerech is the leg, right? And he says, what is the yerech? The yerech is the law of the torso. The yerech is the leg, right? And so it's the lowest part of the body. It's not the lowest part of the leg. We have a foot, of course. We're in the ikvus of the Mashiach, Yaakov, right? But he hit him in the leg, as if to say, okay, I'm going to make you feel so humble that you're going to be lazy. Because we learned what is the negative elements of the negative manifestation of earth is laziness and sadness. So when it says that I'm going to give you in the yerech, right, in the thigh, he says, I want you to be limping. In other words, I want you to feel achy and tired, and it hurts your leg, right? That's what ended up happening to Yaakov Avinu. He hit him in the leg, meaning I want you to feel like you're so humble that, what does it mean to Hashem if I daven? Sometimes we get into that mode. Sometimes we get into the mode of I'm so great, and sometimes we get into the mode of I'm nothing. Both of these are the negative aspect. We have to have healthy pride and healthy humility. Healthy pride is Hashem is the Hashem. Think about Hashem, and that makes you right away feel nothing compared to Hashem. That's healthy pride. That's healthy humility. Healthy pride is thinking to yourself, remembering all the times that you overcame, remembering the fact that Yismach Lev Vakshay Hashem, that even if you didn't overcome, but you wish you overcame, or you wished you accomplished, or you wish you did something, that's Mevakesh Hashem. At least I'm trying to try. Like the Kutzker says, even 10 levels of trying and still trying. So, but the negative aspect of that is of earth, of humility, is who am I? Like, what am I kidding myself? Does it really make a difference if I say that extra Tehillim? Does it really, Hashem, we've been saying Tehillim for thousands of years. Like, what's my Tehillim going to say? And I don't even say with such great kavanah, right? And like, what's my davening? That's called unhealthy humility, and that makes us lazy, and that makes us limp, makes us heavy. So he says that's what he's trying to do with him. And he wanted that Yaakov Avinu should feel like, uninspired. Now, remember that this whole thing was going on in his head. There are two ways of understanding how the angel was confronting him. One was physically, because we see that actually physically he gave him a yank and he hurt his leg, which is why we don't need to get Hanasha, right? But it was also so much in the mind, and tests of the mind are so hard because you don't know who's talking to you. Is the Yetzer Hara talking to you, or is the Yetzer Tov talking to you? That's why it's good, like Rebbe Zahava said, it's so good to talk over things, because when you talk over things, even you just share Divrei Torah, right? V'nosim b'ahava rishos, and we share, we clarify when we talk over. But when things are in your head, there are certain people who they're always in their head. And air element is always in the head, always thinking, right? Could have, should have, would have. And even though air element is very good communicator, but sometimes they feel like, I don't want to talk about it. But it's good to talk about it. That's why Rabbi Nachman says it's good to have a chaver tov. It's good to have, on any level, somebody you could talk to, and that you and that person, however you make a chaver tov, it's a very, very precious commodity. If you have a chavera tova, a chaver tov, somebody you could, it's not an easy thing to have, but here, everything is, Yaakov had no one to talk to except for the Yetzer Hara, the Sar Shal Esam. So what ended up happening? In the end, it happening that Hashem had to intervene. What happened? So the Sar Shal Esam pulled a low trick, right? Instead of just fighting with him in his mind, he actually was given permission by Hashem to harm him physically. Okay, but because Hashem gave him permission to harm him physically, Hashem also intervened and gave himself permission, so to speak, to heal him physically. And so it says that he pulled out his leg, right? And he's v'husoleh al yirecho, right? But then it says Hashem pulled out the shemesh and healed him. So that Hashem actually intervenes and helps. In the end, Hashem had to intervene and say, okay, that's enough, Mr. Angel, right? Like the wrestling match is over and the referee calls it out and he says, Yaakov won because you actually have physical strength. You have a physical advantage over him. Yaakov won. But I'm going to heal him now. And not only am I going to heal him now, but I'm going to give him. So the Zohar Kodesh, he quotes the Zohar and says, I'm going to give him the Yud Gimel, the 13 attributes of Rachamim. Now, these 13 attributes of Rachamim were not revealed until Moshe Rabbeinu, a descendant, right, of Yaakov Avinu. But Hashem said, because Yaakov Avinu succeeded in this, he fought so hard, then I'm going to give him the 13 midos of Rachamim, and the Rebbe, the Masayim points out that the Gematria of Vayishlach is 13 times the name of 26, the name of Hashem. I didn't do the math because I didn't have time before, but 13 times. Let's do it right now. Somebody take a Vayishlach. A Vayishlach. The Gematria of Vayishlach, right, is 338, 348, 348, 951, 348, 54, right? 354. 354, is that 13 times 26? Somebody do the math fast. I hope it is, because that's what he says it is. Yeah. 13, 26, 18. No, it's 18. So 358, 1 second, probably with all the other stuff. 78, 26. No. Okay, 8, 13, 338. Okay, so I got to figure this out. 338. Oh, of Shalach. Of Shalach. Not of the root of Vayishlach is Shalach. That's what he says. The root, here it says, Shorosh Hamilah Shal Vayishlach is Shalach, Shin Lamed Ches, and that's the Gematria 13 times 26. Which means that Yaakov Avinu was able to bring down the 13 levels of Rachamim, because 26 is the name of Hashem in Rachamim. So we never lose out.
Because why? Because he was able to show this healthy humility. So
no, because he fought. No, simply because he fought. This simply because he engaged in the battle. Even though he would have failed, he would have lost. You can't win an angel. An angel has physical capacity that's high above ours because we're in physical bodies. Our soul can definitely win an angel because our soul is higher than an angel, but our body can't withstand an angel. That's why Hashem had to intervene and heal him. But the fact that Yaakov Avinu even engaged in of this battle, he didn't just give up. That itself woke up the 13 meters of Rachamim, because Yaakov Avinu made his shtadlus, like you said before. Your Rav said you have to make a shtadlus. You have to take the first step. Sometimes you have to take the first step. Yaakov Avinu here indeed took a first step. He did a lot of first steps. Then he divided the camp into two. Why did he divide the camp into two? So Reb Tzadok from Lublin says an interesting thing. He divided the camp into two because there were two different. The Esav, when he came back in a physical, when Esav was confronting him in a physical body, then he was confronting him on two different levels. No, that was not. No, Reb Tzadok doesn't say that. The Nesiva Shalom says that. Okay, so we always have to finish Parshas Vayishlach. We have to say something about Dina, because our Aunt Dina, is in this week's Parsha, and she goes through what she goes through. And so, so I just want to say very interesting, just something, we have a friend, Rebbe Judy and I have a friend, a very holy lady. Her name is Esther Linder. She lives in over there in Beitar. And she's a world expert in Dina. She knows every single medrash. Rebbe Judy sent her this shir. She knows everything about Dina, and she takes women to kever of Dina. She takes women to the kvarim of the imahos and of Tzipora and Yocheved and all of those people. So every time it comes Parshas Vayishlach, we have to say a little bit something about Dina. So, Judy, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say that yes, maybe it would be a really good idea to have Esther's give a special shir.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Oh, I would love to hear her shir. I love to listen to her. She's been researching Dina for 40 years. That's her subject.
Yes, yeah? About at least that. Yes, at least that many years.
So Judy, arrange that. Arrange us to be a guest speaker. Maybe ask her to come Hanukkah time.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so just to point out that we know about Leah. That Leah was the female. She was the antidote to Esav. She could have fixed him. Esav didn't want, so therefore she didn't want, and she gets to. And then Yaakov upgrades to Yisrael, and then he gets Esav's level, and therefore Leah could be a zivug of his. That's that story. And you also know that Leah has one daughter that's mentioned. We know that the daughters, all the Shvatim had daughters, meaning.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you all of a sudden.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, I need to get a better this. It says my internet connection is unstable. Sorry. Baruch Hashem, Eretz Israel has unstable internet connections. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So then comes Dina. Okay, so again, all the Shvatim were born with twin sisters. That's who they ended up marrying, each other's twin sisters. And except Dina is the only one who's mentioned. She's the only one who comes a birth on her own as a girl. And we know that she and Yosef and Tzaddik are intertwined because Dina was in Rochel's stomach. And Yosef and Tzaddik was in Leah's stomach. And Leah prayed that Dina, because they were both pregnant at the same time. And Leah prayed that Rochel should have a boy, because if she has a girl, and Leah has a boy, then Leah gets 7 sons, and then there's only one more son left to be born, and then Rochel would have less than even the shvachos. So Leah prays, and the babies are switched, and Rochel gets Yosef, and Leah gets Dinah. That's a very complicated thing. I have no idea how that works, but we do know from that that Dinah and Yosef were connected because they were like twins. They each shared they each shared the same womb for a certain amount of time, not shared together, but they were both in Rachel's womb and they were both in Leah's womb. So Dinah also was like Leah in that she was also the antidote to Esav. Dinah could have fixed Esav, and we know that Yaakov also didn't want, and he put her he hid her in a chest. She shouldn't see, Esav shouldn't see her. And so that's why Shechem was attracted to her, because Dinah had the ability to fix evil, and she was a very powerful soul. And that's why Yaakov Avinu had to, on a certain level, he gave 2 names, Dan and Dinah, right? She's the only one that gets a female version of one of the Shvatim's names. And so, and by the way, Dan was from Rochel, right? So Rochel gets a Dan and Leah gets a Dinah, but Leah had the Dinah first, right? That whole story. So one of the things that we see here about Dinah is that she was gifted with just like Leah, with a very hidden power to overcome and transform, not just overcome, not just to survive, but to actually transform the negative. Now, who does she end up marrying? Shimon, right? She says she's not going to leave Shechem's house until Shimon pledges to marry her. She marries Shimon, and Shimon was that of all of the tribes, right? Shimon and Levi both rescued her, right? But of the Shimon-Levi combination, Levi gets an upgrade and he becomes the Levi and the Kohanim, and Shimon doesn't, to the point where Shimon doesn't get his own Nachala. He has to share a Nachala with Yehuda in Eretz Yisrael. So Shimon, like we can't compare Shimon Chas Hashem to Shem or to Esav.
Why doesn't he get his own Nachala?
Because of his personality, he needed, right? Yaakov Avinu in his in the blessings doesn't give him a blessing, and Moshe Rabbeinu also, because of his powerful soul. He has a very powerful soul that needs to be mitigated. It needs to be sort of like balanced or sweetened with Malchus of Yehuda, who's also a very powerful soul. So here we see Dinah. We see this very little young girl who has a very powerful soul, and who, Be'ezrat Hashem, we all have a little bit of Dinah in us. In this generation, the women are very powerful. Just like the Lubavitch Rebbe said, my friend was in the room when he said this. He said it publicly to a big Farbrengen of women, and then he said it privately to a Yechidus, not Yechidus, but like when the women were coming for dollars. And there was a group of very, very big Rebbitzins in the room, came for dollars. They all got put into the Rebbitzin line. And my friend was in that line, was there. And he said to the women, you are the powerful ones. You need to bring the Geula. Just like in Mitzrayim, it ended up with the women, so too you. And we see in this generation, the women are incredibly powerful, and are stepping up to the plate. We have to be very careful to balance that properly. Everyone in her own mind has to be a balance of power and of Chesed and Gvura, of Chachma and Bina, of Dinah and Leah / Rochel. All of those have to be balanced. And that's why it ended up that Yosef Atzadik is buried in Shechem, the place where Dinah was raped and attacked. That's where Yosef Atzadik was buried. And we know that the Gemara says that 3 places the Torah tells us that were purchased with currency, with universally accepted currency, Shechem, Yerushalayim, and Hebron. And those 3 places are the places that have the most opposition from the world, that we should retake, we should inhabit, we should dwell in. The most violent Arabs are in these 3 places. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to put you on mute for 1 second. No, I have to put me on mute for 1 second. 1 second. This is. Okay, sorry. Actually, we're really done. I just wanted to, I had to pick that up. Okay, so right, so Yeshivat Tzaddik is buried in Shechem because he and Dina were connected. And Dina, interestingly enough, Judy, did you ever go to Kever Dina in the north? Dina is buried in the north, from what I remember. Near where? Remind me where? Near Tiveria, I think. I think that's where they say that she was buried. Yeah? Okay, Judy's not on. Okay, anyway, we're giving.
Yes, somewhere around the area.
Over there, right?
I just remember walking those gorgeous mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there and the tours over there. Gorgeous, gorgeous. When I was there with Esther, and this is going back, I don't know how many decades, there was no matzeva there. There was just a big rock, and someone spray painted on the rock. Dina, Sipora, Yocheved, stuff like that. The names of different women who were buried there. Now I think they have some kind of a mazkeret. There's some kind of a tzion there, I think. I was only there when it was like they were just discovering it, or they found a sefer. I don't know how they found that place. All right, ladies. The Bat Ayin should be a good
Thank you so much.
beta for us. He should make an earthquake in Shemayim to bring Mashiach and protect us down here.
Amen.
Can I just ask? I have this old, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have this old, I don't know, map of Kivrei Tzedekah. It says that Dina's buried in Arbel. Does that make sense?
Arabel, it's right near Arabel, Nachon.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You could see that. You could see Arabel. I don't know if she's buried in Arabel, Judy, remember? But you could see. I remember you could see Arabel from there. That's a flat top mountain on the way to up in the north.
Oh, okay.
Were you ever there, Chanalea?
I've been to Arbel, but I didn't know there was Kever was there.
Yeah, I was there. Actually. It's one like area. It's like one kever almost with a few of the imahot, with a few of the women.
Right. Yeah, were you there when there was a tzion there? There was already a monument there?
Yeah.
Well, not me either.
Well, you were there by the spray. You were there with the spray paint, like me.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I just remember that we were surprised that there really was nothing, almost nothing marking this special. Yeah. Okay,
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Be
you.
well, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for learning together.
Thank
and
you.
have a wonderful, wonderful day.